And we're live. So we're going to be talking about the patches. And Carol, would you share with Marzina? Marzina has a 95-year-old mom, a mother, who just fell. Marzina, you said it was about a week and a half ago?
Well, the falling part was about 4 weeks ago, but then I was in Poland to assist her a week and a half ago. So the fall was a little longer ago.
Okay, so about a month ago, but she didn't break anything, but she's now in a nursing home.
Nursing home, yes.
To
And
take
by the way, my name is Marzena.
Marzena. Oh, I thought
Marjana.
all this time I've been saying Marzina. I'm sorry, Marzena. It's
Yes,
even more beautiful. Okay, thank you, Marzena. Carol, would you share with her your experience of, you got started on the patches a year ago, August. Do you want to share with her what happened, what you had, and what your results?
I'm 84 years old, and I had congestive heart failure, and which they can tell that by the pulse and et cetera, and they wanted to install a defibrillator. Well, soon as within 10 minutes of getting on the patches and just patching my heart, all of that stopped and just completely stopped. So I don't have anything going on with the defibrillator or the congestive heart now. And that was very dramatic. And that's very common, and I can understand how it works by the way Lillian has explained it to us all. And it makes sense because I now have patched where I had shingles in my eye and different places, and it's made all the difference. Stopped any of the pain. If there's pain, the ice wave works really well. All the patches work, and it's your own body that's allowing that heat to come through to the patch to have it work for her. So, boy, I'll tell you, if she's that age and she had a fall or something, what Lillian would suggest would be I would just absolutely go for it, because I've seen this with older and older. We olders, we want to keep getting around, and so to have this as it's a simple, non-invasive process, and that's the beauty of it too. Is it's totally non-invasive. They're not going to cut you open. They're not going to shoot you up. They're not going to do anything. And so even my cardiologist knows about it, and I'll be talking with him about it some more. So I'm really excited. I'm doing really well. So I highly recommend it. And my sister, who had a fall and hit her head and kind of almost felt like, she seemed like she almost had Alzheimer's, but as soon as she put the X39 and X49 patch on her, that completely changed. But she just put it on the neck bump as per recommended by Lillian, and that completely changed. She came back to life. So it was beautiful. It's very noticeable to everybody in the family right away. So
I have a question.
Sure.
What's the state of your heart now? How are you doing? And how is your heart doing, Carol?
my heart's doing fine. The congestive heart failure, I don't use the word failure at all. And I told the doctor not to use it too, because I'm not having those symptoms that are conducive for congestive heart. So keeping the fluid and everything out with the patches has worked just fine.
And then last November they canceled your defibrillator that they were going to install in your chest, because you had your general practitioner and your cardiologist both repeatedly confirming you don't have atrial fibrillation anymore. It's gone.
That's right.
Your heart rate is normal.
And so they didn't put in the defibrillator.
Yeah.
So that was plus.
Yeah. Yeah. And since then, now you ride motorbikes and you do you literally do 10-mile hikes, which
wow.
I know 40-year-olds. Yeah, it was a pretty funny story, because we were on a Zoom like this, and when this was back in February, she tells me, she goes, "Guess what I did yesterday?" I had no idea. And I'm like, "No, I don't know. What did you do?" And she says, "Well, I went motorbike riding." And I said, what? Motorbike riding? I go, have you always motorbike ridden,
No.
you know? And she's like, nope, first time. I'm like, well, how did that happen? She said, well, I went across the street to my neighbors, to Dan's, and he had a motorbike in there. And I said, I want to ride that. And he said, sure, get on it. So she jumped
So
on
I
a
did.
motorbike and started riding a motorbike.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I want to do that. And then I think it was like a week or two later, she asked me the same question again. She said, guess what I did yesterday, Lillian? And I'm like, I have no idea. I figured she went motorbike riding again. And she said, I took a 10-mile walk yesterday. And I said, a 10-mile walk? She said, yeah, I just felt like going out.
Through the woods.
Yeah, through
Through
the
the
woods.
Over the wood, over the trees, oh, all through the woods.
And the more you walked, you said the better you felt.
Better
And
I felt.
you thought you were going to do a short walk, but you said you didn't take your water with you because it was just supposed to be a little walk.
Yeah.
Before you knew it, it was 5 miles away from home, and then you walked all the way back. And you said you weren't tired, you weren't
I
fatigued.
felt better. The
You
more
felt-
I walked, the better I felt.
And then you said that you weren't sore that evening, and you were not sore the next day. I'm like,
Not at all.
oh my gosh, that's incredible. Yeah, so it's been quite extraordinary to see, not only to see her, but so many of her friends, they've seen her transformation, and because she was also 10 pounds underweight, and she had a lot of things that had kept her away, where she couldn't do a lot of things physically. And now she's backing out again, riding motorbikes, gardening, walking,
Yeah.
driving everywhere, driving in the town, and people are seeing her back to how she was when she was younger. And so many of them got started, for themselves, because a lot of them had things going on with them. And now they've experienced that. And they're like, it's so nice to have our old Carol back. So it's pretty exciting, because she just turned 84 earlier this year too. So it's pretty exciting. So let me share my PowerPoint with you guys so you guys can watch this. So we're going to start off talking about these stem cell activation patches, which the FDA no longer wants us to call them stem cell activation patches. So we have to call them cell activation patches or phototherapy patches. We're going to talk about the Fantastic Five, because in our suite of 11 patches, we have 5, which are the ones that I recommend that take care of the primary systems of the body. We have one for sleep and other things. But the 5 are the ones that are going to take care of the primary systems of the body. And so we do have a disclaimer that the patches are not intended to treat, prevent, or cure any disease. We do not heal, cure, treat, or diagnose, because only pharmaceuticals that are medicine that you take in to the body, whether it's over the counter or prescription, only those agents can heal, cure, treat, or diagnose, nor do we offer any protocols. So the suggestions do not replace the diagnosis and treatment by a qualified licensed healthcare professional. We strongly recommend you consult with your doctor concerning your specific health challenge and treatment needed. So just recently, in the last few months, in the fall, actually, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration has taken a new position that all claims surrounding stem cells and healing, even those from a natural product, will be regarded as a drug claim, which is kind of weird, because at conception, our stem cells and our DNA, we had complete information, just like our bones, once that's in your body, but whatever, they can do whatever they want to do. We just have to follow their rules. The FDA asserts that claiming that the use of light to elevate peptides such as GHKCU, which is exactly what these patches do, it's inappropriate for a wellness or a general wellness product. So we can't say that anymore, that they're stem cell activation patches. We've got to say cell activation or phototherapy or photobiomodulation patches, or just plain old patches. Even though we have 90 clinical studies done in the United States, Europe, the UK, as well as Asia. And we also have over 120 global patents that are approved in 82 different countries. So moving on, smile, because the patches found you and you found the patches. And all of this is possible because 50 years ago, in 1973, we had Dr. Lauren Picard, who discovered that GHKCU copper peptide activated 33% of previously dormant stem cells, turning genes to a younger, healthier state. Since 1973, we've had over 2,000 studies that have been published all over the world that have duplicated GHKCU copper peptide activating 33% of your previously dormant stem cells. And so this begs the question, what are stem cells? What are smart cells? Because stem cells are smart cells. They're the pluripotent cells that are inside of your body at conception. And if you look at when your mother's ovum united with your father's sperm, you'll notice that you had complete information now that you had the feminine and the masculine, right? So now you have 23,688 genes and stem cells that will begin to form you into an embryo in your mother's uterus. And as you continue to grow, you turn into a fetus, and then you become a newborn baby. All of those stem cells, pluripotent cells, are pluripotent. That means that they have the ability to turn into multiple. Instead of singular, it's plural. It's multiple potentials, right? It could be a red blood cell, a fat blood cell. It could be an epithelial cell. And so it has 100% of the information to build you head to toe. So moving on, by the time you're a child, you have 100% of your stem cells. And then when you reach age 25, your fibroblasts start to begin to decline in their production of collagen, so that by the time you're 30, 50% of your stem cells turn off. Not because they're damaged, not because they're destroyed, and they haven't disappeared. They simply go dormant until the time that you take a stem cell activation patch. Kind of looks like this, and you put that on your skin, and now you have that cellular repair. So at 30 years of age, like I said a second ago, 50% of them turn off. And by the time you're 60 years old, 90% turn off. You only have 10% remaining or less that's going to carry you for the remainder of your life. And if you look at your body's just like a house. It's a temporary housing unit, right? And if you look at the human body and look inside the human body, your stem cells are similar and very much like printer ink cartridges inside your copy machine. And when you have brand new ink cartridges, you have 100% of the ink. You can make a copy of an original, and you can barely distinguish. It's indistinguishable, the copy from the original, right? And when you've used up 70, 80, 90% of the ink, and you only have 10, 20% of the ink left, now your copies are faded versions of the original. Big difference between the copy and the original. Copy nonetheless, but that's because you have less ink, just like when you have less stem cells. So then the copies of the previous cells aren't going to be as crisp and as clean and as exact. They're going to be faded. So how do the patches work? So the patches work through a process that's called photobiomodulation. Gigantic word that simply means photo is light, bio, because we're biological beings. Modulation means movement and change. So this is a picture of a human hand, and we used a spectrograph to just scan it. I have a BioWell machine that also measures the fingers of both of your hands, and it'll measure the joules of energy. Just as you have electricity that runs through your house, you have inside your body, you're all electricity, you're all light. Electricity is a light spectrum, the infrared light spectrum. So when we put somebody's hand in a spectrograph and measure it, we get the joules of energy that are inside the body. That light, if you touch your neck, your face, you'll notice that you're warm. You're about 98.6 or 98.7 degrees Fahrenheit, right? That is evidence of the infrared light that's inside your body. Like when we take your temperature, it's measuring how hot that light is. If you recall, an incandescent bulb, if you were to put your hand on an incandescent bulb, it's going to burn you because it's hot, right? So the light spectrum that we have in our bodies is infrared and near infrared. And the patches work by reflecting back that infrared light to activate your stem cells through the use of crystals. If you look at the patches, I'm going to hold up. You can see here on my chest that I have one here. But if I hold up this patch, you can see that in the middle, there's a white circle. That white circle is not just material that's just there for no apparent reason. Those are the grid work of crystals, organic sugar crystals, salt crystals, hydrogen, oxygen, water crystals, and a proprietary blend of organic amino acids. Those crystals each are acting like mirrors, just like a diamond crystal. If I were to take a diamond crystal and I were to shine a flashlight, the light bounces off of the crystal diamond, which is acting like a mirror, and it's going to reflect it back to my eyes so that I can see all these colors, from the prism is reflecting back to me, right? So the crystals that are on the patch are behaving the same way, like a diamond. And when you put it on your skin, the moment it touches your skin, your infrared light bounces off of the crystal lattice. It goes up to 4 inches deep, activating a third of your previously dormant stem cells. Each crystal is programmed with a very specific frequency, and the crystals are arranged in a very specific geometrical pattern so that each patch that we have does a different signaling to something different in the body. So we're going to start off with the mother cell activation patch. And I want to talk a little bit about that process of when I put this straight on my skin, my infrared light bounces off of the crystal patch and it reflects it back in. That process is called photobiomodulation. It's a form of phototherapy. And while phototherapy has in fact been defined as the use of ultraviolet light for its healing effects, the LifeWave patches have been specifically developed to reflect light in the infrared and visible light bands back onto the skin where the patch has been placed. So supported by normal electrodermal skin conductance, the human body gives off a number of materials biochemically, including particulate release, gas emission, ultraviolet, infrared, near-infrared, and visible spectrum light. So this then stimulates that area of the skin, producing improved physiological effects. And so variations on phototherapy have been used for at least 100 years. Actually, this research paper that I cut this out of, it says that it's been at least 100 years. I'm going to show you that it's been well over 100 years. And in that time that we've used photobiomodulation and phototherapy, there's been very little evidence of any negative side effects, which suggests that this is a relatively untapped option for healing with relatively few risks. If you look up the first documented use of photobiomodulation, that was in 1895, not 1995, it was 1895. So I want you to think for a second. We are in 2024 as we sit here right now, 2024. And this first documented use of photobiomodulation was in 1895, well over 100 years ago. And just 8 short years later, 1903, Niels Ryberg-Finsen, he won the Nobel Prize for his research on using red light to treat tuberculosis of the skin. And in his experiments with mice, Finsen found that exposing them to that red light reduced their symptoms and the mortality rate of the mice from lupus vulgaris. And Finsen had a very big motivating driving force behind him because he himself was suffering from lupus vulgaris. And in his research, he was one of his own subjects. He was able to relieve himself from lupus vulgaris and heal himself, in effect, using this photobiomodulation. Pretty extraordinary, if you ask me. So photobiomodulation, phototherapy is not new. As you can see, from the late 1800s, it's been in use. In fact, for the last 30, 40 years, I know that we use bilirubin lights in the neonatal intensive care. When I first started off in emergency medicine over 30 years ago, babies that were in the neonatal intensive care, the NICU, when premature babies were born, they would put them in incubators with bilirubin lights. It was a special light inside the incubator because those babies were born with something called jaundice. And when a baby is jaundiced, not only does their skin yellow, but the sclera, the white of their eyes, also yellow. And those are indicators of basically an immature or undeveloped liver. So their livers needed to mature and to grow. And in order to facilitate that, they would put them under the bilirubin lights. And literally the baby would just wear diapers, and they would have little coverings over their eyes. And they would literally every 30 minutes You would flip the baby over on its back, on its stomach, on its back, on its stomach, all day long. And I am told that prior to us having bilirubin lights in the hospital, the old days they used to take the nursery was always in the east-facing side of the hospital, so that when babies were born early and were jaundiced, they would simply put those incubators, those bassinets, they would put them up against the wall where the windows were that were facing east, so that at sunrise, they would put the babies there and flip them over every 30 minutes, and they would get natural sunlight that would help accelerate the liver development. Excuse me. People don't know, but sneezing is not just a cold or something. It's a way for us to detoxify. There's environmental toxins that you sometimes come in contact with, and that's why sometimes we sneeze. Anyhow, I digress. So I want you to notice that these are FDA registered Class 1 medical devices. They are non-transdermal. Non-transdermal means that nothing transfers into the skin, unlike an estrogen patch, a nicotine patch, a testosterone patch that transfers the dermis, transfers through the skin and is absorbed. These are non-transdermal patches, which makes them non-invasive. They're also organic, holistic, FDA compliant Class 1 medical devices under the general wellness category. So we do manufacture our products to FDA registered facilities in the US, and our facility in Ireland is also registered with the Irish Medicine Board. We manufacture these products to the same standards as a medical device. So this is not medicine. This is actually a device that redirects your infrared light to create the effect of activating your stem cells. So I want to point out also that our patches have been validated by both UCLA and the Olympic Board, one of the highest authorities. It should be noted that each generation of our patches, the impermeability of them being non-transdermal properties have been retained. The patches were studied by outside agencies to ascertain and confirm that there's no passage of any substance from the patch that goes into the body. Again, because they're non-transdermal, non-invasive. This was further validated by UCLA's laboratory and the USADA for the Olympic Board. And so that's something very important and something that we really take a lot of pride and we're excited to share with you guys. Also, this also shows how the FDA, these are FDA registered homeopathic patches, and they're made by the LifeWave Corporation, which is out of, our distribution center is in San Diego for the North American continent, and in Europe and the UK, it's in Ireland. Okay, it's important to drink 50% your weight in fluid ounces of water. It's very important because without water, water is one of the building blocks of our bodies. And oftentimes people think that it's not a big deal to drink a lot of water, but it really is, because your DNA, this is your building structure of your entire body. Your DNA is an energy amplifier, and it's because your DNA is 92% water, and it's only 8% other matter. So the primary structure that holds up your DNA is in fact water, because your DNA is a 92 composition. So here on the left, to show you, this is somebody who's properly hydrated and they drink 50% their weight in fluid ounces of water. You'll see that the DNA looks like it's supposed to. It's standing tall, straight, and erect, and it's got the proper helix structure because they're properly hydrated. But when you're not properly hydrated, things start to shrink and they start to fold, like your proteins fold when you're just 2% dehydrated. So when you just feel parched in the mouth, that's 2% dehydrated at the beginning. When you get to 8% dehydration, your DNA unravels. It literally starts to fall apart, which is very scary if you think about that, because that's the beginning of dysregulation of multiple systems of the body. As things start to unravel, they literally, you are becoming sicker and sicker. 10% dehydration, because your brain is 70% or more water, and your brain shrinks as soon as you're dehydrated. At 10% dehydration, you lose your mind. You literally cannot have a thought because there's not enough fluid to pass the information along. And at 12% dehydration, hard body shut down. You're dead. You die. The body just, everything is like cement, nothing can move, and so you pass away. So it's very important to drink 50% your weight in ounces of water. The patches are going to be worn 12 hours on, then 12 hours off, because you have your daytime waking hours, which is your sympathetic nervous system. And then from sunset to sunrise is your parasympathetic nervous system and your rest and digest. So as you're signaling, first thing in the morning, you put the patches on and you're going to wear it for 12 hours straight. Then you're going to match those 12 hours that you signaled the body and you literally lit it up. You're going to match it with 12 hours of rest, repair, and restore. Okay, I see a chat here real quick. Okay, it looks like Marjana has to go, and I will send her the recording after we're done here. Okay, moving on with Dr. John. Dr. John had, when he came to us, he presented with a right bundle branch blockage that had been diagnosed by not one, not two, but 3 different cardiologists. And he was hiking when he started to notice that all of a sudden he felt like a weird flip-flop, strange sensation in his heart as he was hiking. And he was very disturbed by that, which is what propelled him to go see not 1, not 2, but 3 different cardiologists. And he's a brain specialist himself. He has a center in his hometown. And he was very disconcerted and disturbed when they told him, John, so too bad, so sad, but you have a right bundle branch blockage. You got a bad pump with bad electrical wiring, and there's nothing we can do. You're going to be on heart meds for the remainder of your life, and your longevity is being compromised because you got a bad pump. And he thought, surely there must be something out there that could help him. And at the same time, Dr. John was also having trouble with his knee, and he had a lot of pain when he was hiking. So he went to his doctor, and his doctor told him, good God, John, I don't know how you're walking on that thing. It's a polished knob. You have no cartilage. You have total bone on bone. He says, you're going to need a knee replacement surgery. And John said, no way. I am not doing that. There's got to be something. Again, his biggest concern really was his right bundle branch blockage, but his knee was causing him a great deal of grief and pain. And that's when the patches came into his experience. Somebody asked him if he had heard about the latest in stem cell technology. He immediately got started on the patches. And in the first less than 4 months, he went from very, very severe pain of the knee to 0 pain. And he continued to wear the patches, and he was very gray, as you can see here on the left, had a lot of fine lines and wrinkles, a lot of inflammation on his face, had gray hair. And as he continued to wear the patches, by the time he got to the 14th month, or as the Canadians like to say, month 14, they like to say instead of 8th grade, grade 8, a little different from us, but in essence, it's the same thing, right? And so at the 14th month, he said, let me go check, with my doctors. And he went to all 3 cardiologists again, and all 3 of them were astonished to report. They're like, John, we don't know how this is possible, but your right bundle branch blockage has disappeared. You no longer have a right bundle branch blockage, much like you, Carol. Your AFib disappeared. Your heart just was restored, and it started doing what it does best, which is pump blood and oxygenate the brain and the entire body and pass information and nutrients around, right? And so John was pleased as punch, and he then revealed to each one of the doctors, because all of them were very perplexed. They're like, never have seen a patient get better, never have seen anyone have a right bundle branch blockage disappear, have never read a case study, clinical trial, research study, never have seen anything documented saying that this was even a possibility. And so then he disclosed to each one of them, well, I'm on stem cell activation patches, and I have been on stem cell activation patches for 14 months, which explained his improvement over that 14th month period. And he continues to wear the patches to this day. But because your stem cells, they repair everything that's damaged, not just one thing, not just the most severe. From the most severe, as in his case, his right bundle branch blockage and his knee, to a broken toenail. It grows everything, right? So he was relieved from all of those things, but we have gray hair because we have oxidative stress. So he, during that year, he started to have his original brown hair color started in the back of his head and it traveled forward. Some of you recently, when I was at convention, some people, because they were oohing and awing about how dark Dr. John's hair was. And you could see he has gray around the edges of his face, but the rest is all brown. And somebody was asking, I wonder why it seems like men and women alike. They get their original hair color comes back, but it always seems to start from the back. And there's a really logical explanation. I think that the reason why that happens is that your brain has cerebral spinal fluid and your energy polarity, you're supposed to have your cerebral spinal fluid bathe your brain, and it goes forward down the front of your spine and then down the bottom, all the way up your spine. And in a 24-hour period, your cerebral spinal fluid cycles twice, and it's going in this direction. So I think that the growth goes from the base of the hairline going forward because of that reason, because the energy is flowing in that direction. Unless your energy is slow, stuck, or reversed, in which case we have a polarity test and reset. You can look that up on my channel, polarity test and reset. If your energy is backwards, which some people, especially people with strokes and different neurological conditions, people who've had accidents, people who have fallen, doesn't take much to distort the energy and have it go backwards or become slow or stuck, like stroke patients. Anyone who's ever had a brain aneurysm or a stroke, your energy is not flowing. And so it's usually stopped. And so we need to get it going in the right direction. And through that video, if you just follow the instructions, you will get your energy moving in the right direction and you will reset it and you'll sleep much better as well. So you can see this is his before, this is his after. And I see John, let's say I see Dr. John probably about at least half a dozen times or more a year. So I've seen him probably 3-4 times just in the last 2 months, because I saw him in Greece and Italy and Split, Croatia, and then I saw him in Dallas and so forth. But this was in February. We were at a leadership conference. He was signing books because he wrote a book about GHKCU, copper peptide, and reverse aging. And he was talking to a lady who had bought a book from him and was asking him to sign it. So I just took a picture while I was waiting. And then he bent over to sign the book. And I took that opportunity to capture the top of his head. And you can see how all of his hair is dark, and you could see just a sprinkle here. I did take another picture last week when we were at convention. In fact, I had about 24, 25 of my team members that we were in Dallas together, and our whole group, you know, a lot of us took pictures with him. So I'll have to put that in the presentation here sooner rather than later. But this is somebody that's another friend of mine who lives in Canada. And Barry had really bad long haulers COVID. Him and his wife had horrible COVID. And when Barry was trying to recover from COVID, he ended up with long haulers COVID, where he had headaches, he had horrible insomnia, along with headaches, would wake up with nausea every morning, horrible fatigue, and no stamina. And throughout that time, we'd talk, and he tried all sorts of different things, trying to be able to just sleep and get rest, because he knew that that was important in his recovery and improvement. Could not sleep for anything. And as soon as I got the patches in June of 2022, I said, Barry, we need to get you on these patches. Oh my gosh, you're going to feel so much better. And he said, let's do it. So he immediately ordered the patches. And on the 23rd of June, he received them, and he called me to do patch placement. He says, where do I put them and what time and all that? And I said, hey, you haven't slept in 18 months. You need a good night's rest. So you're supposed to wear these in the morning, first thing in the morning, until you go to sleep. I like to tell people, after you've, you know, gone to the bathroom, brushed your teeth, showered, bathed, then put them on after you're nice and dry. You could bathe with them on, but I prefer to put them on after I've bathed. So he hadn't slept in 18 months. I wasn't going to have him wait another night to start to experience relief. So I said, let's get the patches on you now. It was between 3 and 4 in the afternoon. And I told him, tomorrow around this time, 24 hours after your start, just let me know what your sleep was like. Let me know if you notice reduced inflammation or any changes that you notice in your body. So luckily he texted me this, and it says here, hey, Lillian, just a note. Don't know if it's a placebo or the stem cell activation patches work that quick or what, but I had really good sleep, a little better sleep than other nights. I fell asleep quicker. Today I am just on a high and I'm ecstatic. This is a guy who's been suffering for 18 months and now he's just on a high and he's ecstatic. And Gwen sees that in me and I feel really, really good physically. When I awoke this morning, no headache. 18 months waking up with headaches and nausea. Woke up, no headache, no nausea. Yeah, it's just been a phenomenal day. So thank you, and I'll update you as we go along. Hope all is well. Thanks. Bye. So I was so thrilled that I was able to give my dear friend, Barry, who's a Dr. Joe Dispenza advanced student. That's how we initially met, from Dr. Joe's week-long events, because I've been to like 9 week-longs and 3 AFUs, and Barry's been to the great majority of those. And so now he is monumentally better. His life has totally changed, actually, since being on the patches, both him and his wife, Gwen, who is a kidney transplant survivor. So moving on to my friend Kathy, and Kathy, our mutual friend, Annie DeCoker, started her on the patches. And she's like, Kathy, you need to get on these patches. She knew that Kathy had been suffering for 33 years with autoimmune disorder. And she also knew that Kathy was also recovering from a horrific skydiving accident where when she hit the ground, her fellow skydiver mates, they didn't even run to her because they assumed she hit the ground so hard, they're like, she's got to be dead. There's no way anybody can survive that. But she was alive, in a lot of pain, but very much alive. So the thing is that in October, so I started using the patches with myself and my patients and clients in June 22. And Kathy, in October, she put on Facebook this picture of her chest in January, March, June, and July. And I saw it and I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to share that. I got to share it on my Facebook wall and posts. And as I thought about it, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm going to share this. And I knew that her big story was the autoimmune disorder, but this has a big wow factor because she had a lot of wrinkles before at age 62, and now she doesn't. And so that's what people are seeing. And I thought, as people see this that are on my Facebook friends and my followers, they know that I'm not going to put any BS up there. And so I thought they're going to share it on their Facebook, and their friends and friends of friends are going to go, oh, that's Photoshop. There's no way that could be real, right? And so I reached out to her and said, hey, would you come on and do a Zoom where, I want you to tell your entire story. We can take an entire hour if you need an hour, soup to nuts, from the very first moment that Annie showed up with the patches saying, hey, you got to wear these, you got to get started, to this point in time. And would you give me your profile picture? And she's like, no to the profile picture. I don't do profile pictures on any social media. I don't take pictures of my face. It ain't happening, but I will do the Zoom. And I said, fantastic. I go, because in the Zoom, they'll be able to see you, that you actually look like now this profile picture. And so we did that. And long story short, I sent her the link as soon as we recorded it, and I live streamed it to Facebook. And no, I'm sorry, I live streamed it to YouTube. And as soon as I sent her the video and she saw it, she decided to change her mind. And she said, you know what? I changed my mind. I'm going to take a profile picture. And then she sent me the profile picture pretty quickly. And so that's why I have it here to share with you. But I think the thing that I want to point out most is, like, look at her in January. This is the outside of her body because we can't take pictures of the inside, right? Of course, her doctor can do PET scans, MRIs, X-rays, blood tests. But on the outside, we can see visibly that she had a significant amount of wrinkles, a lot of lack of collagen, deep lines in January, less than March. June, 6 months of being on the patches, lines are gone, wrinkles are gone. She just has a little hint of where she used to have some lines. The neck, the wrinkles and the gobbly neck is gone too. July, complete restoration of her skin, less oxidative stress. Holy cow. And the thing is, I'm going to share real quickly here on Facebook. I'm going to pull up. I'm going to share with you my why do I keep on saying Facebook? I meant to say YouTube. Where's my YouTube channel? Here we go. And I'll show you also where you can find where you can find, okay, so.
How do lightweight phototherapy patches work? Well, your body emits heat in the form.
We don't need to watch that this time. I'm trying to share this screen, but I'm having a little bit of a challenge. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, so now we're on my YouTube channel. You can see here, if you enter into here, Love and Money Secrets TV, just like you see here, or if you just want to enter in your browser, whatever browser you're using, Dame, my name, DameLillianWalker.com, it'll take you to this YouTube channel. You can then come here to, we want to do the shorts. If you go to the shorts, you can scroll down here to the bottom, not the bottom, but as you scroll down, you'll see her. This is her right here. And I'll play just 15, 20 seconds.
This good friend Annie, we both are active in the same discipline of skydiving called canopy formation. And Annie knew that I had been not greatly injured. I've been really injured in 2017. She and I were the only two women, maybe dumb enough or brave enough to participate in a night world record attempt. And she was there when the thing happened to me and I got flung into the earth. Nobody moved towards me because they all thought I was dead. So nobody was rushing in my direction. Oh my gosh. So Annie was one of those people who had been there to witness that. Yeah. And so when she was visiting me last year here in Vegas, she asked me, hey, what do you know about stem cells? Well, she knew.
So you can clearly see that this is not photoshopped. And you can see she doesn't look like a 60. Now she's almost 65, but she was 62 in 2022. And she's still on the patches. And the thing is, she doesn't look like a 60-something-year-old. She looks like a 35, 40-year-old. And that's because she's not only did it get rid of her autoimmune disorder, all those symptoms disappeared, but it also repaired the damage that she had from her injury and also rejuvenated her and reversed aged her, where it took away the crepey skin, the fine lines and wrinkles, because you only have fine lines and wrinkles as a result of oxidative stress. So everything gets repaired. There's no, your stem cells, it's kind of like if you bring contractors in to repair a house, they're going to fix everything that needs to be repaired because that's what they do. Okay, we're going to wrap up here. We're just about done. So that's the story of Kathy McCarthy. You can watch like the entire interview if you look in my YouTube channel. There's mine, and we have quite a few. I've got a few other podcasts that are going to be interviewing me on my entire story. But the bottom line is I was hit by a bus just 3 blocks shy of finishing a 16-mile bike ride, suffered traumatic brain injury, that's brain damage, knocked out because I was hit in the lower left back side of my head and my lower back at the same time. I suffered brain damage, totally wiped out my short-term memory, had a neck injury, terrible neck injury, lower back injury, and a laceration, which is a cut that started from my ankle all the way up to my knee. And I'm glad to report that 14 months after being on the patches, almost 15 months, I just have the scar is gone now. In the first 4 months, the scar went flat and it shrunk about 30% just in the first 4 months. I was really surprised that it could be from raised and so dark to flat, and it shrunk from down to the middle. It was just, and it kept on shrinking this way. It was kind of interesting. And it just kept getting lighter and lighter and lighter to now all I have is just a slight little discoloration, but the scar is gone. All these neurological conditions that I had, I'm recuperated from that. I'm all restored now. And I didn't know that I had, because I couldn't see very well when before I started. So I had 2 pairs of glasses. Neither of them worked very well for me. So I didn't know that I had wrinkles around my eyes before, but I don't have those anymore. And I didn't know that I had hooded. I didn't realize that these had gotten hooded means that these are kind of like more the way these look over here. That's what a hooded eyelid is. So as you can see now, that tissue has shrunk a bit. So there's that rejuvenating aspect. again, if you want to learn more and hear my entire story, you can hear that on my YouTube channel, or also the Wellness Superheroes have a great version of my testimonial. So the mother cell activation patch, we're going to do a quick bullet rundown. The short answer to what these cell activation patches do is they turn on using your own light. Your own light is the flashlight that is illuminating your own body, because the patches are acting like a mirror, reflects it back, and boom, the moment it touches your skin, it's instantly activated. So the long answer for those of you guys who are more neuro nerds like myself and you want the nitty gritty detailed information, it resets a third of your genes to a younger, healthier state, regenerates cells, repairing damaged cells, restores collagen, rebuilds scar tissue, reduces fine lines and wrinkles, increases your energy, your sexual libido, your antioxidants, anti-aging, anti-inflammation. So your anti-inflammatories start to get activated to reduce and manage and regulate inflammation. If you have pain, you'll have a 50 to 100% pain relief within 3 to 4 minutes. Improved hair growth, like myself. My point of impact was the lower left, so I had a bald spot for 5 years. That was the size of my palm. Miserable, because you can't wear your hair up because it'll be showing that. It looks horrible. I was very self-conscious about that. I lost 50% of my hair, but luckily, because of the patches, I've regained a lot of that. 100%, no, but I'd say, well, in the first 4 months, my hairdresser saw that when I went to go get my hair done and cut, he said, "Oh my gosh, your bald spot has filled in about 70% and you have about 3 to 4 inches of hair growth." That was so exciting. And this patch also induces a deeper, sounder state of sleep. Where are you going to put these patches? So all of our research studies were done because we have to have controls in a study. So all 90 papers across the world were done with 2 spots in mind. Governing vessel 14, which is that neck bump at the top. It's the base of your neck, top of your spine. So if you take your dominant hand and you touch to the bottom of your neck, you're going to reach a bump at the top of the spine. That is conception. That is not conception. That is governing vessel 14. And that's also C7. So you can put the patches in a row, just as you see. I have these here in a row. You just connect them where the adhesive overlaps, but you want to maintain the integrity of the signaling of the crystals touching your skin in its entirety, so that each patch does what it's supposed to do. And then you just apply it on the first one, you line it up, and then you just press down. Or you could put it under conception vessel 6, which is right under your belly button, about 3 finger widths right below. So we traditionally will recommend that you apply the patches on traditional Chinese medicine acupuncture points to magnify the effects of the patches on the body. However, if you have pain, then you're going to want to point to the pain and patch it. So if you, let's say you had broken your wrist, then you would take the strip of patches, and as long as it's not on open skin, you would wrap that wrist like this with the patches, so that you're circumventing, you're encircling that area with light and activating all the different things that those 5 patches do. So we're going to show you next what the daughter cell activation patch does. Before we do that, I want to show you that we do have a master where you can see where we recommend that each one of our 11 patches, where to place them. And that's available to you after you get started. So the daughter cell activation patch, much different than the mother cell activation patch, does something entirely different. That one protects you from radiation poisoning. So it gives you radiation poisoning relief, which right now is pervasive with all the 5G cell towers and so forth that we have throughout the world. We even have the bottom of the ocean has fiber optic lines. A lot of people aren't aware of that. You have, this patch will increase your lean muscle mass, your bone density, your muscle mass and strength. It's going to increase your energy, increase focus and cardiovascular function. It's going to protect you against EMF, 5G, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi radiation from your desktop, laptop, iPad, notepad, cell phones, because all those have blue light, and you get blue light toxicity as well as microwaves that come from those electronic devices. And this patch also helps with reducing belly fat because it's going to activate the use of energy from belly fat first before taking energy from the last meal that you ate and turning the glucose into energy to fuel your body to do whatever repair. This also, because it increases your bone density, because all mammals as we age, our bones oxidize, and you start off with bones and cartilage that are nice and moist and bluish in color. And as they start to burn, they're oxidizing, they're being microwaved from all the different environmentals that we have, but even more so nowadays. So you see that a bone is more brownish in color because it's been heated up through microwaves and through other different environmental factors, and it's oxidized. So this is going to unring that bell of that damage. Osteoporosis is not an illness. It's not a sickness, although it is a diagnosis. They do diagnose people with osteoporosis, but everybody has osteoporosis because 100% of mammals, dogs, cats, horses, cows, goats, humans, our bones oxidize as we age. So this, as your bone density increases and restores and regenerates and regrows your bones, your osteoporosis disappears, which is pretty cool. Cell activation patches. So now that's the first two. We're going to wrap up with the last three patches. Our master antioxidants. Oh, by the way, remember to drink your water from the time you get up until you go to sleep. And then one of my favorite patches, I don't know, I got to say all the patches are my favorite, but I really love glutathione. Such a powerful patch, as is the mother and the daughter, but this is our gladiator. This particular patch is the detoxifier. Such an important patch. Our detoxification system is one, it's one with your ability to not only detoxify from liver and kidney, etc., and through exhalation and perspiration, but also with increasing your antivirals and your immune system, because your immune system is a detoxifier. And so this boosts your immune system. Within 24 hours of your starting on the patches, your glutathione levels are going to be up 300 to 600% based on the original blueprint from conception. So if we started you this morning at 9 a.m. wearing the patches, by tomorrow at 9 a.m., even though you're taking them off at 9 p.m., by tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., your glutathione levels will be 300 to 600% higher based on what your original blueprint was. And that is going to help with antivirals, antimicrobicidals. It's basically going to kill germs, viruses, bacteria, microbes, anything that doesn't serve the body, parasites, fungus, mold, you name it. It's going to purge that from the body because that's what your immune system does. That's what this master antioxidant is responsible for. It's also a radio protector against DNA damage. Glutathione, your brain signals your liver to actually produce it. And then through your liver, it goes into your bloodstream, into every organ of the body. So every organ, every muscle, every organ system has glutathione. It also has to do with nerve development because your nerves are not only your pain receptors, but they're also your information system to transmit the electricity and the light inside your body to communicate everything, to keep everything wired and going. So super important for nerve development, anything neural, if you have any kind of neurological condition, disorder, syndrome, malfunction, pain point, this is a very important patch. It's going to help the appearance of your skin as well as help you feel more relaxed and reduce stress. This, I thought it was important to share with you guys because this research paper on the glutathione patch says that worn 12 hours daily over just 4 weeks produced a highly significant improvement in physiologic functional status of your pancreas. Listen up to if any of these organs are an issue for you. Pancreas, liver, gallbladder, intestines, left and right adrenals, hypothalamus, and pituitary gland, and a very significant improvement in the pancreas with a statistical power of at least 72%. So it says, stated differently, all the organs achieved a significant cellular physiologic functional status improvement compared to the baseline with a statistical power of at least 91%. And for those of you who want to look up this research paper, and I'll tell you where you can look it up so you don't have to spend a lot of time trying to find it on the internet. It's called the Nanoscale Glutathione Patches Improve Organ Function. Our next patch is carnosine. Carne rhymes with carne asada, tacos, right? Carne, that root word comes from the Latin word flesh or meat. So this master antioxidant supports and improves your cardiovascular system and all things that are related to heart and muscle. Very exciting. And it's going to help with brain processing time. So your brain function, memory focus, brain processing time, your strength, your stamina, your endurance. Remember Barry, how he was just so much more energized than the following day. This detoxes your brain from aluminum and aids your body with wound restoration. So very, very powerful. Oh, by the way, remember to drink your water. And our last patch, the Eon patch, that completes the Fantastic Five. This we call our happy patch. This master anti-inflammatory patch helps regulate the inflammation in the body. It's going to boost something called anti-neoplastins, which I'll tell you what they are in a minute. It increases your DHEA fountain of youth hormone. Well, you're probably wondering, some people are like, no matter what, fountain of youth hormone, give me more of that. But be aware that your desktop, your laptop, iPad, notepad, cell phone, all the LED lights inside your home, all the LED lights in your car, in the plane, because all those vehicles, every vehicle, cars, planes, trains, boats, yachts, catamarans, golf carts, all of them have LED lights. And LED lights break your DHEA fountain of youth hormone, causes inflammation, and it spikes your insulin. It causes insulin resistance. Big problem, right? This patch is going to help undo that for you. It's going to restore and reset you so that that is a non-issue, while it's going to balance that left and that right brain so that while you're out of balance when you first start, within 20 minutes, you're going to go into homeostasis. You're going to have a calming effect because it's going to reduce your cortisol levels. And it's also going to reduce your C-reactive protein. So you're going to have this calm, alert, energized, but calm effect. Really powerful. So to explain to you what anti-neoplastins are, because that last patch actually activates your original amount of anti-neoplastins, those are peptides that are found in the urine and blood of normal, healthy people. And the research studies show that they might stimulate your immune system and that these peptides might also kill certain cancer cells or prevent them from growing. Again, we don't make any medical claims. Our patches don't treat, cure, heal, or diagnose any condition, syndrome, etc., or diagnosis, but they work systemically to do this. And we're activating your original stem cells. So one of the effects are that anti-neoplastins are being turned back on, and you have more of this, which prevents certain things from proliferating and growing that are not to your benefit. They're used for cancers, for high cholesterol, brain swelling due to infections, like encephalitis, meningitis, HIV/AIDS, Parkinson's disease, and other conditions. And in a clinical setting, that's administered through IVIG. That's IV, intravenous, IG, immunoglobulin. Immunoglobulin, kind of a big mouthy word, isn't that? All right. So I did mention to you guys, but it's good to see it in print. Did you know blue light destroys DHEA? Oh, yes, it does. Destroys your DHEA, causes inflammation in the body, and insulin resistance. Not good. That's breaking down the little factories inside your cells called mitochondria. That's what creates energy in the body. So that is the beginning of disease and bad things happening in your body until you put a cell activation patch on. So that brings us to how much does this cost? So, you know, traditional stem cell therapy by IV and by injection can run anywhere from $8,000 to $25,000 a session, and you have to usually do a series of sessions. So I've had friends who've paid up to $125,000 for a series of sessions, and they had to leave the country because you can't have donor stem cells done in the United States any longer. But others choose to take out their own stem cells and bring it back into the body. And with traditional stem cell therapy, about 50% of the people receive a benefit, and 50% of the people, their bodies just reject a foreign stem cell. With your own stem cells, of course, you have no rejection. But if you're 60 plus years old and you do that, you only have 10% of your stem cells to begin with. So you have limited benefits, even though you do have benefits, but it's going to be more limited. And I have doctors on my team, like Dr. Galley, who has a beautiful big regenerative medicine center in Los Angeles, Beverly Hills, London, Greece, and Dubai. And he uses the stem cell activation patches with his patients because this is just more efficient. You're signaling the body every day for the next 12 to 18 months. Very, very powerful. Without the patches, your body's on a 7-year schedule to turn over all 56 trillion cells. But once you're on the patches, the time frames of 7 years collapse down into a year to 2 years. The majority of your cells are going to turn over. If you're like Dr. Stacy, like myself, or like Dr. Harmon, we'll never stop patching, because why go to less stem cells? We have more toxins, we have more microwaves, we have more electronics, not less. And so we need to keep ahead of the curve of the damage that's being inflicted just from being alive. All right. So you can actually get started on the patches for as little as $5 a day. Retail for the price of 1 to 2 cups of coffee a day. You can get started on the Fantastic 5 for the price of 2 cups of coffee a day. It's about $11 a day. I pay $6 for my green matcha lattes or my coffees at Starbucks, and you can get stem cell activation for the same amount, which is pretty extraordinary if you think about that. So if you're willing to pay 3 months in advance, then you can get up to a 50% discount. So for those of you who are watching now or who are listening in on here on YouTube, etc., know that we can put you on a Dr. Wholesale pack. And these are, I like to be totally transparent. Sometimes people have to organize and kind of plan certain things out because we have, different expenses that unexpectedly pop up and things like that. Other people are able out the gate say, you know what, this is, I need to invest in my health. I need things to go from infinitely getting worse to infinitely getting better. And this is makes the most sense, the most economical, the most effective, more than anything else, the most effective and efficient way to restore your body is through this cellular activation. So I know that this says 3, 6, and 20, but because we're part of a very large Dr. Wholesale group, Dr. Stacy and I are able to, instead of 3, for the price of 2, you're going to get 4. So instead of paying $149 for these 2, which is what, if you go to our website, that's what you're going to pay, $149, and then you have to pay an extra $25 annual membership fee, as well as sign a 6-month agreement to be on auto ship. On the Dr. Wholesale side, instead of 2 patches, you're going to get 4 of the 5 Fantastic 5. So let's say it'll be glutathione and carnosine. So you'll get double the number of patches. You save 30% here. On the advanced, you also save 30%, but you'll get the Fantastic 5, all 5. And you have, for example, we have an ice wave patch that if you have pain, you can turn off your pain receptors. It's more powerful than hospital grade morphine, and it effectively turns off pain receptors. When I do speaking engagements where we have people that come from all over, and we ask people who have pain levels, most of them have pain levels of 0 to 10. It's like 6, 7, 8, 9, and even 10. And in less than 15 minutes, some of them in 30 seconds, some of them in 2-3 minutes, but all of them within 10 to 15 minutes, their pain level is down at least 50% to as high as 100%. And I've never had anybody who did not experience pain relief. It works. We just have to put the patches on the people. So on the advanced, you could get the Fantastic 5 and you could get 3 for free. You would get then 3 free ice wave with your Fantastic 5, which is pretty exciting. Premium pack, you pay for 3 months and they gift you 2, you get bonus, 2 additional, it's like 2.5 additional months. That's the best deal. The premium, get a 50% discount. Pretty awesome. So we do have to fill this information to enter you into the back office. And so if that's something that you're interested in doing and getting started on that, just get back to the person who referred you to this video. I have tons of people who watch this video and share it with others. So get back to the person who told you about this video so that you can get started. They can answer your questions and you can move forward. We need to fill out those fields, fill that out in the paperwork, and then enter it into our back office. So check out the 90 clinical studies, or you might want to share the 90 clinical studies with your doctor and the 120 patents. They can be found at this educational site. There's nothing to buy. There's no one to contact and there's nothing to buy. It's just an online filing cabinet with all 90 research studies. There's a 2-minute, a 3-minute, an 18-minute video, some reels of some testimonials, but more importantly, you have all 120 patents and 90 clinical studies are here for your review. If you have ever been in a car accident, if you've ever walked into either a wall or a sliding glass door, or had, a baseball bat or ball hit you in the head, anything along those lines, or maybe you fell flat on your face skateboarding and hit the back I had somebody who recently was saying they hit a block of ice with the back of their head. Horrible, right? Well, I really want to encourage you to educate yourself and watch this documentary, Quiet Explosions Healing the Brain, not because I'm one of the associate producers on it, but because of what you will learn about your brain and how you can repair the brain, even though the consensus still in mainstream medicine is that once you have brain damage, you have brain damage for life. That's not necessarily true. Heaven knows that I don't have any brain damage anymore, and I have better memory than I've ever had in my entire life as a direct result of being on these patches. I didn't have these patches when we did the principal photography for this back in 2018. If I had, I would have most definitely have shared it, but we did not. However, that being said, I have people who have benefited from HBOT, which the film talks about HBOT and some supplementation, but hands down, game changer is the patches. It's like night and day and far more affordable than hyperbaric oxygen therapy. All right. If you want to get started text, you can text. That's one of my lines. It's old school. I don't have it set up to some sort of electronic system, so you got to give me 24 hours to respond. There's my YouTube channel for you to check out the stories of body and mind transformation and the testimonials and all the education that I offer on there for free. And remember to get back. Oh, by the way, remember to get back to the person who shared this video with you. Thank you for your time and your attention. And this is your last opportunity for those of you who want to do a little screenshot of what the mother cell activation patch does. These are the bullet points that I created to kind of give you the bottom line of what these do. So thank you, Carol, for joining today. Marjana, also thank you for tuning in today. Let me know if I can answer any questions for you. I know we're connected on Facebook and through Messenger, Marjana, and I will make sure that you are able to watch the replay of this because I know you had to skip out a little early. All right, Carol, take care, my beautiful friend and gem.